621 here, Big 550 KTRS. Trey Hardin is supposed to be joining us, but we are having some problems hooking up with Trey Hardin. We will get with him here in mere moments. On Thursday last week, we had the Matt Perry story about his truck in the subdivision, in the Valley View subdivision in Wildwood. The bylaws in his neighborhood restrict anybody from owning a pickup truck and parking it on his driveway. Channel 5 picked up the story, did something Friday night. He now has a Save Matt's Truck Facebook page. That's got...
His truck has a Facebook page.
3,400 likes.
Why in the world would a subdivision not allow you to park a vehicle in your own driveway?
The bylaws state that you're not allowed to have a commercial truck or van.
Okay.
It's not a commercial truck or van, but the law supposedly states you're not allowed a commercial truck or van to be parked on your driveway. And so they want him to either fine him or get rid of his truck. So we broke the story on Thursday. Channel 5 picked it up on Friday. Now he's got a Facebook page, 3,400 likes.
Save his truck.
Don't tread on me, baby. Save Matt's truck. Let's go from the Valley View subdivision to talk about Ukraine. How's that for a transition? Trey Hardin with us, ABC News Political Analyst. Good morning, Trey Hardin.
How you doing, McGraw?
Ukraine, it's no longer the top story of the day. That doesn't mean it isn't a major story, right?
Well, I think it is still a major story, and it's incredibly significant. I mean, it's maybe fallen to second in terms of the developing or breaking news because of the Malaysian flight that's missing, but that's almost like a scene out of the show Lost.
Right.
It's a great show, by the way. See, I can talk about politics, baseball, and we can talk about TV shows here, McGraw. It's just the diversity on your show is amazing. Anyway, yes, it's. I do not think it is out of the news. I think it is very, very significant still. There are a lot of things in play here, and I think you can make legitimate arguments that we wouldn't be in this position, had there been more leadership from the beginning of the Obama administration. But at the same time, in his defense, I think he's doing what he's supposed to be doing right now, which is building a coalition of international leaders against what Putin's done. But frankly, it's a slippery slope because I don't think anything at this point, short of military action, which is clearly not on the table, is going to scare Vladimir Putin. Right.
So Trey, what in terms of the opposition party, some people have said and criticized the Republicans for saying, hey, the more you criticize President Obama, the weaker you make him look in the eyes of Putin, too, though.
I don't think I don't think that it's really that element of is impacting Putin at all. I mean, I think he knows that we've got a very divided government, and he knows the politics of the United States, and that it's never been more polarized or politically charged in Washington than it is now. I think what Putin's thinking is he's got a president who made it clear from the beginning in President Obama, who made it clear from the beginning of his administration that he wanted to kind of retreat from the world, pull back. So there, Putin sees an opportunity. I think he also sees that he's got a energy situation in the United States where it does not seem like there's any signs for any short-term future efforts to produce more oil, i.e. the Keystone Pipeline not being approved. So he knows he's got Europe on his side because they cannot abandon Russia to a certain degree because they depend on Russia to buy oil. So it's going to be hard to kind of isolate him on that front. And I also think that he's just someone that's not going to be deterred by any type of coalition or any type of talk at this point. He doesn't want to be a part of the EU. He doesn't want to be a part of any coalition. He also thinks that the fall of the Soviet Union was one of the most tragic moments of this past century. So he found his opportunity to kind of start trying to rebuild the Soviet Union, if you will, and I just think this is the beginning of it.
What's this little catfight going on between Senator Rand Paul and Senator Ted Cruz?
Well, I'll tell you this. Is it me, or is this whole Reagan reference stuff getting a little old? I mean, I love the guy. I mean, obviously the guy did some great things, but let's be honest. I mean, about a third of the people who are voting in presidential elections these days probably don't even know who he was. They weren't around when he was when he was president. I'm talking about a lot of the younger folks. So, this continuous rhetoric between the Republican candidates of, oh, well, I'm Ronald Reagan, or I stand for this, and Ronald Reagan would have done this. How about some fresh ideas? I mean, I've worked with the Republican Party for 22 years, and I know I speak for a lot of people that have been in it as long as I have. We want someone with some fresh ideas. Reagan's great, sure. I mean, but the country's very different than it was then, and it's time to start. Instead of just throwing hand grenades the other side, which is important to do at times, let's come up with some fresh ideas.
Many people, they champion Ronald Reagan, but then would criticize him for, he cut a deal on immigration. He talked to the former Soviet Union. He raised taxes when he had to, cut a lot of taxes. He could come to the table and cut a deal, all the things many of these people who are invoking his name refuse to do.
Refuse to do and are just not capable of doing. I mean, you got to remember, right now, I don't think anyone's really paying attention to these potential Republican nominees other than very small audiences, like this audience up here in Washington this past weekend at the CPAC convention, the Conservative Political Action Committee's annual conference. I mean, this is just rhetoric. It's them trying to position themselves, for these straw polls that are happening, and trying to see which conservatives are going to support them. At the end of the day, we've talked about it before. I mean, look at the last two nominees that have come out of the Republican nomination. You've had John McCain and you've had Mitt Romney. Certainly not the darlings of the conservative movement. So, it's just a lot of hot air at this point, and and it's just Republicans kind of beating up on Republicans and invoking old Republicans' names. I think the American people, even many in the Republican Party, are just ready for some new, fresh ideas. Who that is, I'm not sure yet.
Ladies and gentlemen, Trey Hardin sounds like he's ready to run.
No. Behind the scenes guy.
There you go. ABC News political analyst and friend of the show, Trey Hardin. Trey, have a good week. Thanks.
You got it, buddy. Take care.
628 here, Big 550, KT.